All right, so this is period 10, English 1 honors. This is PBL practice for the real deal for tomorrow. All right, you guys may begin.
So our project is called Korea Spear and Shield Code.
I'm Christian.
I'm Korea.
I'm Paul,
So-
and we're missing one person, Janusz.
Yeah. So our project is basically we tried to recreate how ancient shields would look like, back in ancient Greece. So we chose to make a shield and a spear. On the spear, we engraved many different symbols. Yeah, we engraved 1, 2, 4 of them. And on the shield, we engraved one Spartan shield logo.
So our driving question was, what ancient Greek technology can we use to recreate that shows perseverance?
And so the whole reason behind this, it was because of the Odyssey. So in Odysseus, in book 9, he gets trapped in Polyphemus' cave, and he had to persevere because if he didn't, he would have died. His whole crew would die, so he had to make some form of tool, and so that's why we tried to recreate ancient tools that show perseverance.
So we surveyed the people that saw our products, and we gave them an option of 4 city-states, and we asked them which emblem was the best, like the best design. And our results were Sparta took the majority, Crete was right behind them, then Athens, and only one person voted for Thebes. Then we asked them, which one would you like to see like more complete, more like refined? And they chose the shield over the spear, so we focused more on the shield.
For our third data point, we asked people if we should choose, if they would rather have a spear or a short sword, and the majority won short sword. So in today's days, people would probably choose a sword over a spear, but this just shows back then what kind of weaponry they had.
It's also interesting because if you had a spear, most likely you were the first one to die, because the spear tip actually broke in the first 5 or 6 hits. So once after 5 or 6 hits, the spear is done for. So you're basically dead if you had a spear only.
Right. For our fourth data point, we had should we engrave our 8-foot-long spear, and majority won yes. So we engraved 4 symbols on the spear.
So on the spear we have the one right here. There's the giant one in the middle. This means come and take them in Greek. So it's basically King Leonidas, when he was fighting the Persians, the Persians told him to put down their weapons. He put down their weapons, and he said, and Leonidas told the Persian king, come and take them. And so that became the Spartan motto. And we also engraved Ares back here, the Spartan symbol up front, and this is just the word Sparta in the front of the spear.
So how ancient battles were fought. So basically, if we exclude like the skirmishing and cavalry, the infantry would just line up in a line, and it'll be a densely packed formation of soldiers which would like march towards each other. And first they would take out their spears to get some range, and when that broke, they would take out their short sword. And the Spartan short sword was like really short; it was 18 inches. All the other ones were like 30, 24. So it was really useful, like in a close combat. And Spartans were also like the heaviest armored infantry in their day. They wore up to like 70 pounds of armor, which is really loud.
And that's just our video.
Okay. Now we wait until tomorrow. Yeah, you guys are ready for a minute.
Alright, so we're going to cut it down a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Okay.
All right. Beautiful. Nice job, guys.
In the morning?
Nail it in.
I'll have my cousin help me with it.
Yeah, we were thinking.
All right, Salal, your group is next.
Hey, what we're gonna do? I was gonna do. We're gonna turn down. So we can just. We can skip parts of it and just go like.
All right, folks, here we go. All right, the floor is yours, ladies.
The name of our project is Baby, which means house in Greek. Oh, my name is Silali.
My name is Alexis.
My name is Lexi. And I'm Daniela. The purpose and connection of our house was to build like different types of houses to literally represent like what a house would have meant in like ancient Greek, since the theme of the Odyssey is that Odysseus just wants to go home.
So as far as the data, the things that we asked people were, which of these would you like to see become a wider scale project? And the majority voted for the temple. And then how big should the final project be? And then the majority voted shoebox size. And then what color should the house be? The majority voted white. And then what material do you think the final product should be? And the majority voted wood clay. Data explanation, a house was built because it was more convenient for us to make instead of a temple. We have decided to make the house desk size instead of shoebox size so that we can fit more things inside. We agreed that the house should be white and that we thought that the house should be made out of cardboard because it was easier to make and then it was better for time management.
Our initial idea was we had three, and the cave was on the bottom, and then the face of the house was on the front. That wouldn't have been the whole thing, and then we have the temple, which is right on that desk over there. These are our prototypes, so this is not the final product. It's just one of the prototypes. And then here's the progress that was made on the actual house. The final product. That's the final product.
All right, guys, right at the 2-minute mark.
Like, coming back to see what the actual shield thing was.
All right, Leanne, your group. All right, folks, here we go. Quiet, please.
Okay, so our project was ancient Greek food, and the purpose was to develop a better understanding of hospitality in Greek culture. And according to the dictionary, hospitality is the friendly reception and treatment of guests and or strangers. And in our project, we showed hospitality through food.
How does hospitality connect to the Odyssey? It is a Greek custom that was shown all throughout the Odyssey book. And in the Odyssey, Odysseus was stranded on an island of Phaeacia, and King Alcinous and Queen Arete, they gave Odysseus food and clothes, and they helped him get back to Ithaca.
This slide shows what hospitality means to us in the 21st century, and the picture on the right shows that the majority of the students picked food as the best item, which represents hospitality. The other picture shows that the majority picked friendly reception and treatment of guests or strangers as the best definition of hospitality. This slide shows what hospitality means to it during the Greek era, and the majority picked the scenario from the Odyssey that best shows hospitality. Odysseus and his men openly helped when Odysseus is stranded, a princess gave him clothes and escorts him to the kingdom for help.
Yeah, so we listed some foods out on the first time that we presented, and these were our options, and the majority of the votes were for baklava. And then for tomorrow, I'm actually going to be bringing in the actual dessert, and I'm going to show you what the process of making it and putting it
Roger, your group.
Have you ever wanted to experience the athletics of ancient Greece? The pentathlon allows you to do just that. In a board game, compete as characters from the Odyssey and reach victory through different events.
So you guys might be wondering what the rules are of the game. There is a full rule book, but I'll just go through like the essentials. So there's 4 characters in our game that you can play as, and they're all from the Odyssey. We have Odysseus, Circe, Polyphemus, and Antinous. And those players are going to be competing in 5 events: shot put, javelin, long jump, running, and wrestling. And you're going to be competing in those events to get medals, and the player with the most medals wins. The way you compete in those events is by rolling dice and using different skills that you can invest in by making offerings to the gods. Those skills are strength, stamina, agility, speed, and intelligence. That's our final board game. This was our prototype. It was not great. I don't know if any of you guys can see that, but it's just paper over a Monopoly board. In our prototype, we used cards instead of dice, and we found that there was way too much math with that, and there really wasn't anything that like you could use the board for. So Nico's going to talk about how we switched to different components of the game right now.
Well, we asked everyone in a quantitative research data collection on Google Forms which mechanism we should use for the board game. We've had dice or cards as the option. Dice won by the pretty great majority of 60.8%. And I think this is because we had cards last time for our prototype, and that took a lot of math to kind of figure out and do the board game. So I think that hindered the results for the cards. And then we also took a survey on what characters we should have, what gods and characters we should have in our board game. And the ones who won on here, which we included in our board game, are Athena, Hades, and Hermes. And we also asked what characters we should put into our board game. And the ones that won were Odysseus, Polyphemus, Circe, and Antinous.
Those are just a couple pictures of the progress of the final board. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, Eric's group. Eric, Alex, Adrian, Victor.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, I just have to. I already saved all of this early this morning, so when I'm done, I have to go. All right, guys, here we go.
So our project was about Greek weaponry, by myself, Eric Rita, Adrian,
And Victor.
and we're missing Alex Vargas. So the driving question, we had tried to see how Greek weaponry portrayed the same qualities that were shown in the Odyssey during Odysseus' quest home, and we thought to believe that the same strength and perseverance were shown by the Greek soldiers during battle with strength, because Odysseus used that same strength to reach home in his quest. And then the sword we made relates to Odysseus because it showed the same perseverance he used to reach home. and when crossing over all obstacles in his way. Originally, we had 3 different sets of weaponry. We had a sword, shield, and a bow made out of Play-Doh. We had decided to just choose one of them, and we decided to make a sword. And instead, it was made out of some sort of paper mache.
So our data was based off of 56 people that we surveyed. One of our surveys was on which weapon we should choose. The majority was that we should make the bow, but we ended up going with the sword because we felt that it represented strength and perseverance more than the actual bow, and we could have done more with the bow or with the sword in terms of like gravings and all that stuff, as well as the size. We also surveyed, and most people wanted the medium size so they could try it out, and yeah, that's it. Our last data was what we should use to design the product, and the majority was engravings, so we chose symbols into the sword and some phrases.
So for our project, for the final project, we used 4 layers of cardboard for the layers of the sword, construction paper around the sword, and we put the construction paper in the paste that we made out of flour, water, and salt. And the first picture is applying the first layer of the plaster. The second image is drawing of the first side, and the third picture is drawing of the last side.
That's it.
All right, Isabella, your group, come on up. All right, here we go.
So our presentation is on water. It was an essential to ancient Greece. It's by Yesenia, who's not here, me, Amanda Weinberg,
Alex,
and Bella. So transportation was a big part of it because the water carried the boats to like the surrounding islands so that food and services could be like traded.
The food, water was related to the food because the Greeks got the fish from the water in the oceans around them, and it helped with agriculture, which grew olives, grapes, figs, and wheat. And for the household uses, it was used to clean their houses, clothes, wash their hands, and to bathe in. And they also used it for the toilets and bathrooms.
Symbolism was really important to the ancient Greeks as well. It symbolized life and purity to them. One of their major gods that they worshipped was indeed Poseidon, which was the god of the sea. So water was something very important that the ancient Greeks felt the need to thank and praise the gods for. The connection to the Odyssey. The water brought Odysseus home after the battle and the imprisonment. Also, it was in ancient Greece, which is what this project was on, and was still used. And we still use water in these ways. It may not be the exact same, but there are similarities with them because we still use boats. It helps us cook food, and we use it in our houses every day for cleaning purposes.
The data, the one on the left side shows that
majority thought that food was a good representation of how water was used. And then they wanted us to make drinks and food, and for the drinks, majority voted for us to make blue lemonade. And for food, they wanted us to make popsicles with little Swedish fish on the bottom to make it look like fish in the water.
For the prototype, we were using lemonade, so we could show that we used water to create it, and also we're gonna dye it blue so it would have the water effect. We're also gonna have Swedish fish popsicles, so we made it because it would be unique, and so you guys can remember us. And it would represent the water, and the Swedish fish would be like fish, because the ancient Greeks would use fish to eat.
All right, thanks guys. 2 minutes and 37 seconds.
Mr. Shua, do you remember if you timed us?
Yeah, I shot out the time. Yeah, I didn't write it down. I said it out. Okay. Omar, your group coming up. All right, folks, here we go.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Mauricio. This is Omar, and this is Kaylin. Today we're going to be talking about the magnificent sun. Some little background information on the sundial itself, which is our project. The sundial was an instrument that was used many years ago to show the time of day using the shadow of the points cast by the sun onto the plate, and it shows the hours of the day. So as the day goes by, a shadow is cast on a certain line, telling us the time of day. And on to Kaylin with the data.
Our first question on our survey was, how big should our final project be? The majority voted for medium. Another question was, what material our final product should be made out of? The majority voted for cement, but we didn't do that because we believed that wood would be more accessible to the ancient Greeks. And we had some experience with working with wood.
Great, so then how does creating a sundial inspired by ancient Greece represent the same perseverance that is shown in the Odyssey by Odysseus and his crew? So while we weren't trapped on an island for 7 years, we definitely did have quite a journey, from coming up with an idea that we were all confident in to the execution. The creation of the videos that you will soon see proved to be quite a task as well. As the one editing them, many problems came along the way, but like Odysseus, we had to push through and persevere in order to finish. We had to keep going no matter the obstacle, whether that be rain or finding a software to edit the videos with. Whatever it was, just like Odysseus, we had to push through, persevere, and keep going.
And then we're just not going to show the video, but they're like each a minute long. And then our time lapse is going to be uploaded today. And that's it.
All right, cool. Thanks for today, you guys are right.
So yeah, we do
Now we just know that we're the first one.
All right, Jacob, bring up your group. Jacob, come on up. Bring up the All right, folks, here we go. Quiet, please. All right.
This is Odysseus' Journey Home by me, Ryan.
Jacob, and Josh.
For our summary, we wanted to create this new interactive board game. It's not built on a board, but on water. It shows how Odysseus sailed the seas to get back home to Ithaca. Our driving question, we asked, how can we show Odysseus' journey in a fun and modern and through the modern arts? So we decided that this would be a really cool idea, just because it's different and new than anything you'll see.
Our thematic connection. Our board game shows the perseverance it took for Odysseus to get back to his home of Ithaca. This is because his journey was a long journey with many obstacles that he had to find ways to work through, unexpected obstacles, and for our board game, it takes those same skills that you have to be able to work through problems that are presented.
Our game design is the base or container will be filled with water. We'll have a deck of cards off to the side, most likely laminated, so in case they get wet, they won't get wet or they won't get ruined. We'll have floating islands that will be weighted to the bottom so they won't float and ruin the game. And for turns, the players will roll die, and it'll be the regular six side standard die.
And for the gameplay, these 5 steps are how a player would play out one turn. You would draw an object card, and when we have our product tomorrow, we'll act it out as we do it. You would take one of our cards that we'll show you, and whatever the object is on it, you have to use household items to build it. Once you put it together, you roll a die for how many tries you have at it to advance your piece to the next island. And so then you try to advance to the next island. And there's 5 islands, and the first one to get to the final island, Ithaca, wins. And here's the video we don't have yet of people playing our game. Thank you.
Beautiful. I have 2 minutes and 35 seconds. All right, is there any group that didn't call up? All right, so here's the deal. You guys got 15 minutes left, and I'll be brief here, okay? But for tomorrow, remember, we're going to report